Hi, well, Sandy, it's 1:44 on Sunday, and we're here on some random street that's off of West Loudon, where we went to the liquor store and bought. Alcohol is not my goddamn problem. And we bought 4 vodka shooters and some apple juice, and been sitting here on the ground in under a shade tree, like we're the Buddha, with holding our monk's posture, which is the left hand under the right and the thumbs together and shit, and trying to be unmolested and have a few moments of peace and quiet, and maybe make the body stop hurting a little bit. And I went insane this morning. I lost my mind. I had an anxiety retching attack at 5 a.m. and I've not been right ever since. And we had very little to eat for breakfast, and we skipped lunch, and then we left, and we went, and now we're out of cigarettes, so we either got to buy more or quit. And this is brutal for me. For the last 6 years, since the moment I left Wanda's house, all I've needed is somebody to pick my ass up and say, here, you can live here and you can do this. Because me on my own, with the resources that I had and have lost along the way, I was incapable of living any sort of normal life again. And I knew it at the time, but we kept struggling and trying. And it's Sunday morning, right? And pardon me, we're right next to the church. I'm like, is there not a Sunday service? Shit, I'd go down in there and sit. Because when we were in Venice, when we were at our lowest points in 93, we'd go into this little place called La Chiesa di Pantalone, and these little old ladies in, Burano lace. There's Murano's glass, Burano's lace, Burano black lace. They're sitting in there. Nel nome del Padre, il Figlio, e lo Spirito Santo, and I'd sit there and listen to them fucking, do the rosary and stuff, and we just lost our earplug. So, we got to worry about rules and shit, and it's like being in a fucking jail, except you can go in and out to smoke more often, and the food sucks, and being around crazy ass people who are, either medicated or not, and wild-eyed, and drug-addled, and the violence and shit. And ever since we lost the car when we sold it in Martinez, I've been on foot, and I've been exposed to everything, and it's just awful. And it's never gotten any better. And no matter how many goddamn emails I sent Wanda, she never fucking cared or would do anything differently until she finally did. And I don't know if I've told you this, but I decided to go. I decided to fucking go to there was a place, Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. He wrote a couple of books. I read one of them. He's like, the breath is the breath. Doesn't matter what the breath is. Just focus on the breath. Doesn't matter if it's long or short. Blah, blah. I read his little book, and Buddhadasa Bhikkhu's place was north of me in Wahin, where I was in Wahin when we got attacked for the last time by some violent fucking old woman who didn't like me singing or something. I don't know, because we developed this perfect four-octave perfect pitch singing voice over the last couple of years, and we sing all the time. I sang down in Najamti Inn 12 to 18 hours a day, sometimes 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning. I didn't give a fuck. And, they said after 14 months or 13 months, we're not going to rent to you anymore because people complain of the smell of weed smoke. And I'm like, why the fuck is that my problem in a weed legal country? But everywhere we go, we're unwanted. Everywhere we go, we get kicked out of. Everywhere we go, we get attacked, and blah, blah, blah. And Mom's like, well, you must have done something wrong, right? It's like the intransigence, the myopia, the inability to fucking agree with me, the inability to take my side. When I got out of the jail in piss poor prison town, Canyon City, and walked the 3 miles back the first thing I did was I sent Trisha a 1-word goddamn email. It said, unrepentant. And then I sent her an email. I'm sweating my ass off. Look at this. It's like 88 degrees out here on wherever the fuck we are. Zomedy Schools. I don't know. We got a bus going by. I sent her an email, and then the next email I sent her was a link to Neil Young on Farm Aid from whenever the fuck that was, that said, be on my side, I'll be on your side. There is no... And I sent her I sent her the link to that song, and I said, are you still on my side? Because that bitch didn't call me in the 25 days that I was in jail. And given my history and the 200 fucking appointment, I think that should have been part of her job description, but she never got in contact. So, we contacted they tried to throw me under the fucking jail and take away all my goddamn rights and lock me up forever, like they did John York, right? I used to go to these meetings with this dude named John York. He come down to the Newman Center on Thursday nights, to the young people's meeting, and he had a story to tell. By the time I met him, he was 35 years sober, and he drove a long black, Mercedes sedan, and he had this story. Two stories about shooting a bluebird, and everybody's like has a bluebird story that you wish you hadn't done that, but you fucking did. But he was a drunk. He was a low bottom drunk sleeping in dumpsters on the streets of Atlanta, and he'd talk about how it was better to go and sleep in the dumpsters that had food in them instead of the ones with cardboard because they were warmer and shit. I mean, just ungodly. And he was so fucking out of his mind and wet brain from alcohol that all he could do was go, John, 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 when they wanted to take his fucking rights away and lock him up forever. And he got in front of the judge and said, only God has the right to take away my freedom. And they let him off, and he kept on going. But my God, this is fucking brutal, and I hate it. I hate every fucking minute of this, and it's awful for me after what I've already been through, and I wish I could go somewhere and be okay, but my mother's not going to help me. Which has been made perfectly clear. Oh, did we lost our shit?